Released on June 6, 1984 on this weird little computer in the Soviet Union, Tetris was a very simple puzzle game that took the world by storm. With its easy-to-learn, hard-to-master gameplay and catchy theme that would stay in the heads of people for eons, Tetris is a cultural icon that has been both keeping things similar and changing things up as the years go by. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. You're not really gonna go over every single Tetris game, right? I mean, look at all these games. Who would want to go over every single incarnation of Tetris? Well, if I had played a lot of Tetris, I would bring mention to every game I had played and touched on anything worth pointing out. However, I will be talking about the 3 versions of Tetris I've played personally. Yes, only 3. As much as Tetris is a gaming icon, most people don't long for Tetris. I mean, no one wakes up going, "Man, I could go for some flippin' Tetris!" No, nobody does that. Anyways, let's get started with Tetris Plus on the Game Boy, which was not only my introduction to Tetris, but also had one of the best title screen themes I had ever heard. Chiptune goodness at its finest. So, Tetris Plus. Not only did it have the same make a line out of geometric shapes gameplay we all know and love, it also had a puzzle mode where over the course of 4 worlds you have to guide an archaeologist to the bottom of the screen by, how else? By playing Tetris. However, the developers clearly didn't think that playing Tetris normally could be tense, so they added a spike ceiling that drops down a row every few seconds. And that doesn't sound too bad until you get to the archaeologist himself. He will walk back and forth in a straight line unless he bumps into something or sees a gap or pit that he can squeeze through. However, if blocks are placed on top of him, he will climb up them until he reaches the top. This could either lead to the archaeologist climbing all the way up to the top layer, causing you to possibly redo some of your progress, or the archaeologist climbing right towards the spike ceiling, making you go into maximum overdrive in order to get his stupid self down before he kills himself. Now, as you probably guessed, the ceiling will destroy any placed blocks that are in its way, so you can use this to your advantage by having it remove any unwanted pieces from your blocks. And you're gonna want to utilize that, because in some instances, it's better when the spike ceiling is close to where you're working, and in other instances, the archaeologist is having a heart attack and would like it if you kindly stop fooling around and just save his life! Now, after beating every world, the secret 5th world, Atlantis, unlocks, with a whole new slew of challenges, and after beating that, well, I actually don't know. I suck at solving these puzzles, honestly, and upon looking things up, nobody's actually cared enough to beat or document what happens when you beat Tetris Plus on Game Boy specifically. So I'm guessing it's just the same as what happens in the PlayStation 1 version, where they find out that Atlantis was hiding a rocket ship disguised as an island. Other than that, Tetris Plus is a pretty standard Tetris entry, and was a great time sink as a kid. But that wasn't the only Tetris game I played as a kid. I also played a version of Tetris Attack, mainly Pokemon Puzzle Challenge. And I'm going to stop some of you right there. I know this game is originally known as Panel de Pon, and it's not technically a Tetris game, but I'm going to still include it because what other instance am I going to be talking about Panel de Pon or Puzzle League for that matter? Anyways, this game had way more to it. 6 modes to choose from: Marathon, Challenge, Time Zone, Line Clear, Puzzle, and Garbage. Marathon would be your normal Tetris, but Tetris Attack switches it up. You now have to match 3 or more blocks of the same color by swapping them horizontally 2 at a time. This change in gameplay was well received and gave birth to the more competitive side of Tetris, which can be experienced solo with Challenge Mode, the main mode of the game. where you as Gold, or Ethan if you want to be current, or Jimmy if you want to be the 5 people that watched Pokemon Chronicles, challenge all the gym leaders to Tetris battles. New to Tetris Attack was that you can now send gray blocks to mess with your opponent, and the first person to let their blocks reach the top of the screen will lose. With Puzzle League's challenge mode, you have to get combos of 4 colored blocks in a row to send an attack to damage your opponent, all while they occasionally send garbage blocks to try and get you to mess up. After you deplete your opponent's HP, you win the match, and proceed to the next gym until you reach the end of the line. You see, Challenge Mode has 3 difficulty settings. 5 if you're a masochist or just really good at this game, but the point is, what you pick at the initial 3 difficulties determines where you stop. If you play on easy, you stop after beating the 8th gym. If you play on normal, you stop after beating Karen of the Elite Four. Only if you play on hard mode can you face against Lance, the final boss, with an amazing remix of his boss theme from Gold and Silver. And actually, that's a good point to bring up. The remixes of classic Gold and Silver tracks are fantastic. From the chill, calming vibe of Violet City, to the heart-stopping, adrenaline-pumping version of the Elite Four theme that plays when you're close to losing against them. It's a really good soundtrack. I highly recommend giving it a listen when you have the time. One last thing to point out before moving on is that your Pokemon are basically your lives in this mode. You start out with Chikorita, Cyndaquil, and Totodile, and can get more Pokemon by doing specific things, seen here. Once you run out of Pokemon, your run is over, and unfortunately, no, you cannot get the Gym Leader's Pokemon. I know, I'm upset too. But anyways, the last 4 modes in this game are Time Zone, basically Score Attack, Line Clear, which is self-explanatory, Puzzle, where you have to clear a certain number of blocks in a specific amount of turns, and Garbage, which is Marathon mode, only garbage blocks fall, making it harder. All in all, this is a version I end up going back to a lot. It's very solid, has a lot to do, and I can actually beat this game, so that's a plus. But now we are at the last game, and it's the most recent actually. Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Puyo Puyo Tetris!
This is a weird one. Prior to this, I had no real attachment to Puyo Puyo. But upon playing it in the Chemical Plant stage in Sonic Mania, I was interested in this crossover. And I really like this game. It's odd to think at first with these 2 franchises crossing over, but when you really stop and think about it, Puyo Puyo is just Tetris Attack with aspects of normal Tetris, so it's not actually that far-fetched of an idea. Now, if you thought Pokemon Puzzle Challenge had a lot of modes, then you haven't seen anything yet. You have Adventure Mode, the story mode of this game, where, over 7 chapters with 10 stages each, you can follow the Puyo cast as they get sent to the world of Tetris, where a colorful, zany, and funny adventure awaits them. Also, on a side note, I found out through this game that the blocks in Tetris are called Tetraminos. Now, initially I thought this was just a cute pun, but I looked it up, and that's actually what those types of geometric shapes are called, so yeah, I felt dumb, but I know that now, so that's all that matters. Anyways, the other modes of Puyo Puyo Tetris are Versus, where you face off against an opponent in a Puyo Puyo Tetris or mixed battle, Swap, where after a couple seconds you swap between playing Puyo Puyo to playing Tetris and vice versa, Big Bang, which is like Versus, but you solve simple preset setups within a couple seconds, and after the time is up, whoever solves more setups ends up attacking the opponent's HP. After they lose all their HP, you are the winner. There's Party, which is like Versus, but with items added into the mix to offer buffs or debuffs to aid you in battle. There's Fusion, which is like Versus, are you seeing a pattern here? But you're playing Puyo Puyo and Tetris on one board. Endless Puyo, which is basically Marathon but with Puyo Puyo. Endless Fever, where you clear preset Puyo chains to try and prevent a timer from reducing to 0 as long as you can. And all clear chains add extra time, so you need fast fingers and reaction time to get far in this mode. There's Tiny Puyo, which is Endless Puyo, but with smaller Puyos to use. Marathon, your standard Tetris mode. Sprint, where you need to clear 40 lines in the fastest time possible. And finally, Ultra, where you need to get the highest score possible within 3 minutes. That's 12 modes! And there's even 6 variants to the last 6 modes in Adventure Mode! That's technically 18 modes! And let's not forget, you can play online or local with most of these modes. So yeah, saying that you'll get your $30 worth out of this game is an understatement. Puyo Puyo Tetris is a great crossover and a great entry for both franchises. It's out for PS4, Nintendo Switch, and recently got a PC port at a price of $20. So, yeah, I think that's enough Tetris for one day. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.